Return to Glory podcast, 1 week until kickoff in Arrowhead Stadium against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Hunter Zarbernicki, Austin Rose, Dakota Freitag. Dakota and I spent last night at Zipline Brewery in Fallbrook with the Husker Online guys. They put on a great show. They're a live show. Dak, any great takeaways from the real professionals?
I mean, I was impressed with how many people actually showed up for it. I mean, they said they had 300 last time. I don't think, how many, probably 150 this time, I would say were there. But yeah, it was a good showing for it. And I liked how smoothly they could talk. Like, it was impressive.
Well, they've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
They're the ones that everybody wants to be. The Husker Online guys, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut. They do a great job. They're on Husker Online. They're one that I make sure I listen to before we do any of our episodes and get some nice thoughts from them and love to hear what they have to say. Austin, they one of your guys' listens as well.
Every once in a while, I wouldn't say I'm a religious listener. I try to have just, come in here with mostly cold takes, no other information.
Well, we
You
got
did get a shout out.
We did submit a question. We asked old Sean if he's been practicing his punts. So we do have a little two-part episode today. So we're going to talk some key headlines here to start. And then towards the end, we are going to have an interview with Brandel Riekenberg, who he is my brother-in-law, but also a K-State Wildcat fan ahead of the week 0 game here coming up in a couple of days across the ocean as K-State takes on Iowa State in the Farmageddon. So we will have that interview for you here shortly. So first off, I want to talk about some recent news that we did not talk about on Monday. Tory Pittman, a soon-to-be 5-star, most likely. I guess he's currently a 4-star. The one recruiting rankings, they don't do 5 stars until they reach a certain point in their high school career, but most likely going to be a 5-star. Commits to Nebraska. He had other interests from schools like Michigan, Oregon. So a big-time get for the 2027 class, joining Trey Taylor in that class as well, which was a big get a few months ago. I guess first off, big picture, what does this mean for the program? We've got some big time recruits. This is not like, this is a safety too, right? It's not a quarterback. It's one of these other positions, but talk about 4 or 5-star guys. We don't usually get a lot of those. Dylan Raiola, Marlon Lucky, I think we talked about, was maybe our last 5-star that we've gotten. What does this mean for Rule in the program?
Well, one, it's important to point out that he does play at Omaha Central, so he is a in-state recruit. So I think that helps.
That helps.
I don't know. I guess my initial reaction is, one, it's class of 2027, so there's still a lot of time for me to either flame out and not be a 5-star. I don't know what the likelihood of that is. Or 2, change his commitment, which I think is a much higher likelihood. I mean, there's still 2 more years for him to be poached away for some other school. So I think it's good that we're able to, at least convince someone. I don't know how much the hometown discount we got. If he was from Minnesota, is he still choosing Nebraska? I don't know. But I mean, good for Rule. We'll see. I don't really know what the impact of a 5-star safety is. I'm sure it's good, but I just, I don't know.
Football, especially in the state, you have to keep those 5-star recruits in house, because especially with the only D1 program, because basketball doesn't really matter if you got Creighton, all those other D1, but football you have to keep them in house.
Well, I'd love to keep basketball in house too, but
Yeah, but it's a lot harder with Creighton there. The safety position, I was thinking about this. He probably he'll. Do you think he could be like a Travis Hunter type, like an athlete, or he'll?
potentially it sounds like he does play. He plays receiver in high school too, and he's got good hands. So now will he play both sides of the ball? Probably not. But
He might even switch to just offense.
well, he could.
Yeah,
I would anticipate, given that he's listing himself as a safety, that's probably where he wants to continue his collegiate career at. But yeah, I do think it's important to keep those guys here when you got them, right? I think a lot of people recently, Iowa State's been poaching the Omaha type kids and other small towns around the area. That's kind of been the topic here over the last year or two. So what I think, I think this, like, you got to get guys, and you got to make sure you're getting the right guys if you're keeping guys around, and you got to bring in big time guys. If the message is we got to compete with not just the Minnesotas and Iowas and Wisconsin's, or we got to compete with the Ohio States, Oregon's, Penn States. Like, if we want to get to that point, like, you got to bring in highly recruited guys. Now, we've talked about it a lot. Recruiting stars don't mean jack shit unless they actually produce on the field, and you got to develop them, use them the right way. Recruiting stars, yeah, they're great. Like, it's fun to talk about and fun to hype up, but you have to produce and show that they're worth that. Like you said, Austin, it's a long time between now and then, so probably don't want to jump the gun and get too excited, but at the same time, it's always not, it's not bad news, but
It's good to get a win.
yes.
And I'll add, like, now that they're committed and they're in state, I imagine they'll get some more, guidance from the Nebraska coaching staff in their development.
This is another thing though that they're gonna have to throw some money at him, because other schools are gonna start coming in with offers, and they'll have to decide to see how much money will you throw at this guy to keep him, because he's gonna get Bama's gonna. Did Bama offer him yet? Schools like Bama they're gonna start throwing money at him, basically.
Oh, yeah, nothing from Alabama. I think the big ones, Oregon, Penn State.
Yeah, and they'll throw
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, Miami, LSU. You got your local Florida State. So Colorado. I think a lot of people too, like that. I mean, that's just the name of the game, right? Money's going to get thrown on the table, and you got to start evaluating high school kids. Are they worth X? And whether you like it or not, that is where we are at in college sports. And now there's a little bit of a limit. There's going to be more rules and guidelines that you have to follow. And so, yeah, you do have that to consider. Getting a commitment already is a jump start, because whatever was discussed shows that, both parties are in agreement to that. Now, things can obviously change before they enroll, but that's always a good thing, that there's some sort of commitment to what was decided. So
yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good thing. I'm not trying to be negative Nelly about it. It's good.
But your QB you have right now flipped 3 times before you came to Nebraska, so
QBs are probably a little different than most other positions, though.
yeah.
There's a little more money thrown at a QB than a safety.
I mentioned, competing with Minnesota, Iowa, and those kind of schools, and taking that next step. So one other topic I want to talk about today too is just the similarities and differences that Nebraska has to some of these closer Big Ten programs. I think there's some things that you maybe wish we had or we have done. And then there's things that you don't want to settle for because you have bigger and better aspirations as a program. But that being said, Minnesota and Iowa, they've kind of dominated us from the scoreboard standpoint over the past handful of years. And some would say that their style, the way they're doing things is what Nebraska should be doing. Heck, even Rule, I think, made that comment when he got here, was
I love Iowa. I want
wanting
to be
to
Iowa.
correct, wanting to be like Iowa, wanting to do what Iowa does so we can beat them. I think being so close to these programs, I think it's a good place to start and talk about like I'll just ask you guys, what do you guys like? What do you like about
I
Minnesota
mean,
and Iowa?
specifically, I would say for Iowa is the consistency. I mean, they're not, you know what you're gonna get. Like your floor is pretty high at Iowa. It's like we're gonna have a really good defense. We're gonna be competitive in almost all of our games. And that's how it's gonna work. You know, some years we're gonna have a decent offense and we're gonna bump up a little bit. Some years our offense is gonna be really bad. We might get closer to that floor, but we're gonna get you 7, 8 wins. Maybe we'll bump out for a 9 or 10 win season.
Shitty quarterback play.
There will be shitty quarterback play.
As a fan, I personally would hate that consistency because they have no ceiling, like playoff wise or the championship wise. Like you never playing that style of football, you never win a championship. And it's the same. It's the same thing every year. You know what you're gonna get 8, 9 wins. And also visually, I would just hate watching it. Like I've
Dak, I will
think
say
be very boring as a fan.
when they have their breakout years, the argument against that is though, like Iowa has, they've had years where they've gone 10-2, 11-1, maybe
Yeah, a couple
because of
years ago.
a generous schedule. But I mean that's getting you in the playoffs. Now, are they going to win anything with that? I don't know, probably
Right.
not.
The
But
playoff
is that enough?
system, the playoff system definitely changes the appreciation for Iowa because
Correct.
now, like, because they usually end in the top 25, usually in the 20 to 15, or, the 20 to 10 range. But now with the playoffs, it spans to 16 teams. Like now you're pretty much in.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
this is
think.
what I would compare it to.
Go ahead.
Nebraska. So Nebraska comes in every year like we're gonna make the playoffs and like have all this hype. Iowa fans don't. Like you can't get hyped or you can't get hyped out. You're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna make 9 wins, same thing.
Yeah, but that's because they know, like, we're getting hyped because like we're gonna win 8 games, we're gonna win 9 games this year. They don't get hyped about that because that's what they're used to.
Yeah, I would hate it.
That see that's where I I mean Husker fans say that too. Yeah, it's style of play is boring. You're never gonna win anything. Well, shit, they beat us every year. Like
Right.
we're at a position now where I do think we are trying to get to that level of consistency. And Austin, you mentioned like how Iowa's never gets blown out. Really, they're in every game, close games, and they find a way to win them. I think we're getting closer to being in a lot of games. Like I don't think that the program that we have now is going to see many blowouts. Hopefully, knock on wood. So I think we're from that aspect we're getting there. Obviously, the style of play is different, but I will say this year and the things I've been hearing, in addition to what Dax already brought up, this Gernowski kid from South Dakota State, like he sounds legit. Like he's a dual threat guy. He has a 49-6 college record. Now, obviously it's FCS, but it sounds like it's not going to be the Deacon Hills of the world, and those kind of quarterbacks where they get nothing out of them. This guy sounds like he could elevate their offense a little bit, and whether you want to call it boring or whatever, and who knows what Kirk Ferentz is going to do with them.
Right. He might have
That could give him a dark horse chance to get the playoffs.
They might have it's one of those things you don't know though is okay, now that they have a talented quarterback, are they gonna be able to call for it? Because they've never had I mean, they've had decent players in the past, but what are they calling? I mean, I don't know. They got a new offensive coordinator 2 years ago or last year.
Last year, the Western Michigan guy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I will say when comparing Iowa and Minnesota, I'd rather be Iowa. I feel like Minnesota kind of kind of like a lower step below Iowa. They're still super consistent, but now it's more of a their ceiling is lower than Iowa because they aren't quite as good in every level.
Correct, but also a team that also, for the most part, has kicked our ass.
Yep.
Recently, another team that's close that we just can't seem to get over the hump on. And like PJ Fleck or not, he built a culture. Now, is that row the boat narrative maybe a little stale after several years? Maybe, but he's got that program too to a place that I'm not going to call them as consistent as Iowa, but
They're probably going to win 6 games.
yeah, they're
Yes.
probably making a bowl game, and they're probably going somewhere between 6 and 8 wins. So again, this goes back to what do you want as a fan? Is that the starting point? Do you want to be building something now so that that doesn't happen? Not that you can ultimately control that, but I think what they've done as programs, we need to be taking pieces from because that's where we need to start. Like we need to
Right.
get to that point first, and we're not there. Now, last year, great. We won 6 games, 7 with the bowl game. Great. That's a start. But it's not like, I mean, if we could, it's not like we're going to consistently become a 10-win team year after year, all of a sudden moving forward. I don't think. Maybe we will, and we'll just surpass the 8 and 4 years. But I think there's things being taken away from these programs that are beating us. Let's start there. Like you can't. That's what's hard for me. You can't talk shit and say like Dak's saying how boring. It's hard for me to ever say that to Iowa fans and laugh at them because they beat us every year.
Right.
And regardless of how that happens, last year was the prime example of just the ugliest win that you can ever have. They won.
I think the year before might have been uglier.
Well, there's been several of them.
I mean, the question is prior to this year, and shit, maybe even this year, at what point would you have not switched places with Iowa over the last 10 years?
You wouldn't.
Right.
Last thing, maybe Mike Riley year, but there's nothing. Yeah, there's no point where you wouldn't switch spots with Iowa. I guess I don't. But here's the point of the two programs, Minnesota and Nebraska, where they're at. PJ Fleck is on a pretty hot seat for winning 6-7 games there, and Matt Rule is getting all hyped up because Nebraska won 6 games finally.
That's just a difference in expectations and the consistency that
Where
PJ
you're
Fleck's
at.
been on. And I've said PJ Fleck maybe not hot seat, but I think you're right. I think
Now that's
Minnesota
his
fans are a little
personality
still.
too.
Iowa, they don't give a shit. They love Kirk Ferentz.
He's gonna be there for life. Yeah. And maybe Iowa fans, I don't know, you around them, maybe they're cool with winning 8-9 games every year and being that consistent.
They are.
I think they do it. And why not though? Like, tell me, especially
Right.
now with the playoffs, tell me why that's not 8 or 9 wins with a 1 every 4 year chance to make a run in the playoffs. Like that. Not saying that that's where I want to land and end up and be there, but like right now for us, that'd be phenomenal. Like for where we've been.
Yeah. I mean, we felt like I feel it's safe to say Iowa felt like they were a quarterback away the last couple of years. So all you need to get is one guy, and we would be like, "Oh crap! Like we might be able to win 1 or 2 more games, and all of a sudden we're contenders."
Yeah, did you guys see Gronkowski or however you say his name stats in spring game?
I did, but I remember him being pretty good.
No, he was 9 of 21 with 2 fumbled snaps.
Were the snaps his fault?
Yeah, he just straight up dropped them. Like they went 20 yards behind him. Yeah.
Oh.
So maybe not. So all this hype, I guess that'd be stellar quarterback play for Iowa. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
they literally what was it? A couple years ago they threw it less than 10 times against us. I don't remember. It's or they had
With old fat boy.
yeah, And they still almost won. They might have won. I don't even remember. They did
They
win.
did.
They did win. They had 6 completions and we lost.
Yep.
So who
We've
cares?
we've been down that road. Um, last thing here before we get to our interview. Starting to look at the weather forecast here, since we're a week out, and
Looking
what do you
good.
know? Small chance of
Beautiful.
rain, 30%, but out of any day in the next 10 days, we got a little bit of rain forecasted. Set high of 72 in Kansas City. So little chillier fall day.
I need to whip
I
out the
don't
long
mind it.
sleeves.
I feel like it favors Cincinnati. If I had to guess, if you're the less talented team, you would want the game to be slower and muckier and lower scoring. Great weather for a fan though, if it doesn't
Mhm.
rain. I mean, it's gonna be great
It's
tailgating weather if it stays dry long enough.
yeah, it's gonna be perfect weather. I don't think it favors either team the weather wise, unless if it's perfect weather, it's not gonna affect the game at all. I think there was one point I wanted to ask about this game though, and I was talking to my other buddy last night. Um, as we get closer to the game, everyone's saying Cincinnati has no shot. Is that making you guys more nervous as you get closer?
Oh, I'm nervous.
Who's everyone?
The people.
Last night, last night,
Uh,
we
no,
heard that
yeah,
many times.
I I don't. I mean that's Husker fans, right? That's what we do. We just say Cincinnati's bad when we know nothing about Cincinnati. We have no insight besides the couple of comments that we probably hear amongst ourselves
And last year's record,
in
which
last
is
year's
always
record.
not.
Yeah, that's what people do is they look at last year's record. And keep in mind, Cincinnati beat Arizona State last year,
Who was pretty good.
and they shut out Houston. Houston wasn't great, but it shut them out. Like it, it is. It's funny, Dak. You're right. Everybody's discount or discrediting Cincinnati. I I'm scared. Like
And they're hearing that Cincinnati is.
maybe I don't know. Just like I mean, we don't. I don't follow Cincinnati media and news and that religiously. Like I'm guessing majority of them are not doing the same.
No, I mean I just had to look up who their quarterback was. We know nothing about
Well,
Cincinnati.
yeah. So you mentioned that the other day, which it hit me. Brendan Sorsby's been there for 5 years. Like he's maybe not there, but he's played college football for 5 years, and he's been at Cincinnati for the past couple. He like has experience, and from
Yeah.
what I've heard from a national side of things, they're going to try to run the ball more, and like Austin said, muck it up, and
Rain tends to help
it
muck
that
it
scares
up.
me. It does that. I do think the weather scares me a little bit more, depending on what we're trying to do on offense. Maybe it'll quote unquote force us to run the ball more than what we were planning on doing, but which is good for us, by the way. Hashtag run the ball. I don't know from a game standpoint. Like again, it scares me. Like I'd rather it be perfect weather because I think we have
Better
hopefully
talent.
the better players. Don't know that from anything, but we're favored by 6.5. That's probably what I'm going off of.
Well, that we're just a bigger program. We spend more money. It's safe to assume that raw talent wise, we should have better talented players.
If they drive down that field, because that place will be rocking a kick, drive down that field and score first, that place is going to be, you could hear a pin drop in there.
Oh, it won't happen, Dak. It won't happen. Imagine if we go out there and 4 and out, Ja'Cory takes the punt to the house. That place. That's what I want.
I love everybody's trying to predict and think what the game's going to look like. I
I think
talked to
it's
people last
gonna
night too at Zipline and the tailgating scene down there, and I think people are trying to make plans and it's going to be chaos, guys. It's you can make plans, but I think it's going to just be a free for all, and it's going to be fun that way. Those are sometimes the best games to go to. You just hope that the product on the field and the outcome of the game ends well, so the whole experience can be a positive one, because who gives a shit about everything else if we come out of the game and we lose? Like, that just ain't gonna be fun. And you're right, people are saying Cincinnati's not great and it's gonna be a cakewalk. I'm like, oh, people, like,
Cincinnati
stop
made the
it,
playoffs
stop
a couple of
it.
years ago, right?
Yeah, like, which that was with Fickle, but anyways. All right, well, we're gonna get to our interview here with Brandel Riekenberg and talk some K-State, Iowa State week 0. We're here with Brandel Riekenberg, my brother-in-law, one of Dak's longtime friends, K-State Wildcat fan, most importantly, as the Cats take on the Cyclones over in Dublin, Ireland in week 0 on Saturday. 11 a.m. kick, local time here in the Midwest. Brandel, you probably have been on just nerves and everything this week. We're waiting one more week for that. We're not the K-State fans that you are. We might claim to be at some time, as we're all wearing our K-State gear.
That's the Adrian Martinez effect. We'll go with that for Husker Nation. But yeah, no, fired up. I'm getting all the podcasting I can in, listening to the K-State podcast. Got one in this morning. So yeah, no, my heart gets racing a little bit when I get to listen to them, because I mean we're 2 days away. So it got here fast.
What's the go-to K-State podcast?
Bosco's Boys is a big one. That's like a really big one that I listen to mostly. And then the KSO show, they do a lot of pre and post game stuff. So that's where you kind of find that stuff out. But yeah, those are my 2 main go-to ones.
Well, what is the outlook here this week for K-State, Iowa State? We know what we've probably seen on TV, but what's the preview look like? K-State's a 3.5 point favorite now, I think, is the last I've seen. I do know that Iowa State and Matt Campbell has owned Chris Kleinman since he's been at K-State. I believe he's 4-1, 5-0 against the spread. But K-State is favored going across the water.
Yep. Last win for K-State was Adrian Martinez, 10-9 in Ames. So that was a real good game. But no, I think they're pretty evenly matched. Kind of the spread probably favors that. Two pretty quarterback heavy, Avery Johnson and Rocco Becht. But ultimately, I guess we'll probably get to the later stuff. But I think whoever takes care of the ball is going to win the game. Ireland, just kind of like the British Open in golf. It's a weather battle over there, and I know there's a chance of rain in the forecast, but yeah, it's gonna be a bloodbath, and 2 of the top teams in the Big 12. So I don't know. I'm excited, nervous, but if I wasn't nervous, it means I don't care, right? So yeah.
First ever ranked versus ranked game in Ireland. What are your thoughts on, and this is Husker wise too, what are your thoughts on playing a tough opponent in your first game of the year? Do you like that or not?
Great question.
Yeah, I'm indifferent about it, but I think it's a good test to start the year. Plus, one of my things that I do like about it is both teams come into it healthy. Normally Farmageddon ends the year, and it's always a battle on health a lot of the time. But I don't know, starting the year healthy, 2 teams playing each other, I think it'll be great. And I love being the first game of the year. I think that's awesome. Everybody's watching you.
Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, I go back and forth on it, because obviously Nebraska played Northwestern over there. Conference game wasn't like a big time conference game. This year for this one, I mean, these are 2 teams that could be towards the top, or if not at the top of the Big 12 standings. And you don't want to say that this could have major implications on who plays in the conference title game, but it could. And the hard part about that with the Big 12 is, we talked about it in our win total or win predictions. Everybody's between like 5.5 and 8.5. So the Big 12 is just a free for all. Obviously, you might have K-State, towards the top of that, being the K-State fan. But who are some other Big 12 teams that you're looking at, watching at, competing for that top spot? Because I think K-State is the preseason favorite to win the conference, but it's not by much.
Yeah, I think it's K-State's at the top. Obviously, biased because I'm a K-State fan, but Iowa State's right there. They got some experience, both sides of the ball. Now they lost some big threats on the outside, but they have the experience, so I'm not going to go against them. I do like Matt Campbell as a coach. Texas Tech is an interesting one. I have not bought in the hype of just buying your team. I don't know if that's the way to go. Maybe it'll work for them, but I don't see them as the top dog threat. Maybe, I guess we'll say. I don't like having to play Utah this year. I know that Utah scares me, and I think they could maybe make a push, but other than that, I'm trying to think. I could be missing somebody. If you guys think of somebody who's
Arizona
up there.
State.
Yeah, Arizona State. I think they'll be right there. I don't think they'll be what they were last year. I think Cam Scatabo was way too much to that team. Who they replace him with, I'm not sure, but yeah, that'll be one that they'll be up there. But I would probably go K-State, Iowa State, and then I think Utah will be there in the end.
That was I had my pick for the Big 12 title game as the first game of the year here, K-State, Iowa State. I think those are the top two teams. What are you looking for Avery Johnson to improve the most this year?
I think it's got to be his running. I say that, and there's a lot of teams who would kill to have what K-State had last year with him running, but all I've heard this offseason is he's put on 18 pounds of muscle. He's going to be able to run it more. He's looking to run it more. Connor Riley, our half OC last year, our co-OC last year, went to the Cowboys to be the O-line coach. So Matt Campbell's kind of taking the helm by himself, and I think they will look to run more with just Avery. I think it might be a split. They got a 2-guy backfield. Dylan Edwards is obviously very explosive, but I think Avery's going to run it a lot more than he did last year, designed or undesigned, either way.
And just as a very casual K-State fan, I think that's a strength of their team, and Avery is a very mobile guy. So as you're preparing for K-State this year, I think that's the first thing you want to stop is the quarterback run game, but also Dylan Edwards being very explosive. What do they have been on the outside at receiver? Guys coming back, new guys coming in.
Yeah, so they returned Jace Brown. Jace Brown, he'll be a big one. He kind of underperformed early last year and kind of started to pick it up. Had a big touchdown against Colorado. I think he actually had 2, but had a big one late. And then he had a couple other big games. But they got Jerron Tibbs from Purdue, I believe. I don't know if did you guys play Purdue last year?
Yes, one of our wins.
I think it's Jerron Tibbs, but so he's one that they're really talking about in camp, and they are really high on him. And then Jerron Bradley from Boston College, so he was Tech and then Boston College. So he's kind of the third slot right now. But I would, if I was an opponent, I would be very worried about the tight end room. They returned 4 tight ends who all caught 2 or more touchdowns last year. And they have a 5-star tight end who, I guess, a little side note. Do you guys know that you have to report every Wednesday your injury report this year?
I did not know that.
Maybe it's just a Big 12 thing. I don't think it is, but just came out, and the 5-star tight end, he's actually out for Iowa State. So, but still got the 4 tight ends that I would be very, very cautious of if I was scouting Kansas State.
All right. Well, since I know you're a big Kool-Aid drinker for Nebraska, let's flip to them. What are your thoughts on how the season's going to go for the Huskers?
I think it's got to be very bright. I really do. I think similar to Kansas State, I think if Dylan Raiola is a star, Nebraska will be good. I think that's I think their offense, their team kind of revolves around him. He's got to play well for the machine to move. So, but I see probably 9-3 is kind of where I'm at with them. I think they have a very favorable schedule, but I mean, you got to play every game. You got to win every game. Now, will every game be a blowout? No, but I think that they'll all be really good games. But I think Nebraska gets it done this year. I think they go to 9-3.
9-3. So just some general background too, I guess, for some of the listeners. As far as K-State football goes, and we are a Husker football podcast, but there is a background, and Brandel mentioned earlier why we have some purple on, and Adrian Martinez was a big part of that, leaving Nebraska to go to K-State for his last year. And I will say, we talked in our earlier session about how Iowa and Minnesota and some of the things we liked and disliked from their programs. K-State's football program, and being obviously very close to Lincoln, how they model and how Chris Kleiman has done things over the past 5 years, like it's pretty impressive. And there's a lot of things I think that you can take away from at Nebraska that you can model after what Kleiman's done. And it's been fun to follow and fun to watch. Now, will I ever call K-State we and claim I'm a K-State fan? No, not truly. But I do think they've been fun to watch, and you know, I root for them. And I think that is kind of, Brandel, where you're at with Nebraska, who you've been a K-State fan your whole life, but you've also lived in Nebraska and you've been around it. You're familiar with what goes on. And while at one time K-State and Nebraska kind of were rivals and you hated each other, you know, there's this level of like, I don't mind K-State. I don't mind wearing purple every so often now, just like you probably don't mind wearing red.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I was my dad played football at K-State, so that's where the K-State comes for me. But my mom is a big Husker fan, really anything Nebraska. But when I was little, she always used to make a sweatshirt that said, "I am a Nebraska and K-State fan." They owned a sporting goods store, and that, thinking of it now, it makes me sick to my stomach. But yeah, so I'm a K-State fan. But yeah, after Nebraska left the Big 12, I'll cheer for Nebraska any game unless they play K-State. I have no problem with that. I enjoy going up to Memorial Stadium, and it's a really nice atmosphere. I enjoy it. It gets rowdy. The Colorado game last year was awesome. But yeah, no, I will be a Nebraska fan every time until they play K-State.
What about thoughts on Scott Frost coming to Manhattan? I know we're planning on going down to the game. It's during our first bye week. Scott Frost going to UCF, coming to town. You know, what are your thoughts there?
Good question.
Great question. It is a very, very playing with fire situation, in my opinion. Especially the team that he's putting together. A lot of junior college guys is what I've heard, and from experience with the transfer portal, Jerome Tang, Kansas State's basketball coach, is a big transfer portal guy. Not necessarily recruit the high school recruit, I guess, if you want to say. It is playing with fire. So it could be a home run, or it could be an absolute strikeout. There is a very high and very, very low ceiling and floor.
Should we wear the Husker red in Bill Snyder Family Stadium?
Can you? Yes. People will think it's hilarious
with the
especially
frost, with the frost warning on it.
Especially that game. They will think it's the funniest thing ever. Now they might make jokes like you guys hired that guy, but no, I think people will laugh at it.
All right, well, let's dive into it. Your score prediction and how the game will go in Ireland.
So I think the weather will play a factor. I think there's a chance of rain in the forecast. I think I don't know if it'll be the whole game, but I think there might be some weather. I think it's going to be who takes care of the ball the best. But I think K-State gets it done 24-14. They got a new kicker this year. I think it'll be 21-14, and I think kicker will give him a 37-yarder if you want me to be exact. To push it late to 10-point lead, and I think it stays at that throughout the rest of the game.
Austin did take K-State earlier when we were talking about it. I mean, I have to too. I'll go 20-17. I'm gonna go low scoring as well. I think the Ireland games the past few years have all been under games.
Yep.
I think it'll be a battle. I'm excited to watch this game. Some of the games have been, I don't know, maybe not as hyped up. This one, I mean, like Dak said, 2 ranked teams. So I'll go 20-17 K-State. I do think, Brandel, your point about taking care of the ball. I mean, both teams are going to want to try to run the ball a lot. And,
Yep.
you know, if you lose a possession or two because you muff one up, I think that's going to be a difference in this game. So, yeah, I agree. 2017 Wildcats.
Love it. Did Austin give a score prediction?
Did not, just took
Nope,
K-State.
Didn't. Just took K-State. Gotcha.
Well, this is my lock of the week. I'm going K-State -3.
Oh gosh.
I think just for you. I think it'll be 31-17 K-State. And it all comes down to, I think Avery Johnson's a lot better than Bex. I think Beck's a solid quarterback. There's a ceiling with him though, and I think having a full off season to have Avery improve his accuracy and just another year under Kleiman, and that's another reason why I'm taking K-State. I think Kleiman is a lot better coach than Matt Campbell. I'm totally off the Matt Campbell ship. I think that fire under him has kind of ran out.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear a lot of ups and downs with Matt Campbell. I hear a lot of people who are really, really high on him, a lot of people who are not high at all on him. But I think it'll be Avery versus Rocco Becht is kind of the situation. I think that is what it'll come down to a lot too. Those two who can play better.
So yeah, for background too, this year on the podcast, we've had Dak do some pick segments and some predictions in the past. This year, Dak gets 1 college and 1 NFL game a week, and that's all. So this week it's K-State -3. It's probably the kiss of death.
Yeah, you're lucky it's week 0 and there's not any other games. Otherwise, I'd be more upset.
Every listener has to go put $100 on it, or else you can't listen to podcasts anymore.
And there goes our listeners.
The bold strategy. The bold strategy.
Last question for you here, B. Archie Wilson.
Yeah.
Do you know the name?
I know the name only via your podcast or Twitter.
There we go.
The only time that I've heard the name, but rugby style punter, correct? From Australia?
Yep.
Did or did not get the single digit number?
Did not.
Did not. Okay, I wasn't sure on that one. I knew that would have been an interesting give, but that'd have been cool.
Kicks with both legs.
Does he really? That's impressive.
Can roll out both ways. Can throw it.
Okay, do you think they will? They'll incorporate that, won't they?
Mike Eckler says he's a weapon.
Yeah. Oh, that means that's at least 3 fake punts this year.
You want to talk about hype around any player, one single player, man, it is Archie Wilson. And what can't he do? That's what we've heard. What can't Archie Wilson do?
Maybe it could be just a decoy. Maybe it's a great decoy. Maybe it gets Cincinnati being like, all right, we really got to watch out for this guy. And then all of a sudden I don't know, your backup tight end is just going to have a big day because they forgot about him.
If we incorporate Archie Wilson into something other than our punt game, that would be electric. Like if all of a sudden Archie Wilson trots out there on like 3rd and 5 or something, like, oh my God.
Make him, was he's a rugby player, right? Came that's his background. Oh, make him the was it Blake Bell, Dakota? The Belldozer?
Oh yeah, the Belldozer.
The Belldozer. Anything goal line, just put Archie in. It's got to be a QB draw.
Sounds like he's kind of like a Taysom Hill, honestly.
Jack of all trades. Might as well use him.
All right. Well, that'll do it here. This will close out the episode, and we'll get a little Go Cats here too. So Thanks, Brandel, for joining us. Good luck to the K-State Wildcats against Iowa State. We'll be doing a fantasy football draft. Dak will be there. Brandel will be there. Kind of before and then during the games. We'll enjoy that. We'll have ourselves a Saturday, boys. Go Big Red and go
great.
Cats.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Go Cats.
Go Cats.